Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Avery, but I go by Suavecito, and I'm a horror content creator. Welcome to episode 56 of Whispers of Horror. And we have an amazing guest, as in Josh, who is a horror content creator. How you doing, Josh?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing excellent. I'm glad to get the episode 56 going with you. You're an amazing content creator. I love your content. But for people who don't know what you do, can you talk a little bit about you and what you do?
Yeah, for sure. I'm a writer first, and I was doing stand up, and I do writing and everything on the side mainly. But starting in like 2020, when everyone else jumped on TikTok, so did I. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to talk about, so I figured the one thing I know a lot about that I'm passionate about was horror movies, and I just started doing horror movie reviews and recommendations. Mostly dope horror movies that are streaming for free right now. So stuff you can watch on like Tubi, Pluto TV, YouTube, stuff that you can legally watch for free if you don't subscribe to everything. And then started doing comedy sketches because I write comedy and mostly sketch comedy with different slasher icons. So the different horror icons all hanging out in the same apartment. And then I'll do other just like random sketches and snack videos and event coverage. I go to a lot of horror conventions and like haunted attractions and stuff like that. But most of my content's on TikTok and Instagram at Josh B. It's my middle initial, Levesque, which is spelled very weird because I'm French Canadian. And then
Levesque.
yeah, but yeah, that's I, I talk a lot about horror movies. I watch a lot of horror movies.
Out of all those things you name, what is your favorite aspect? Like, what is your favorite thing to do when you're making content? Like, is it the reviews or is it the writing? Like, what thing do you gravitate towards the most?
Oh man. I mean, I feel like truly blessed that I get invited to do any sort of event coverage or anything like that. Like
Yep.
getting to do premieres or red carpets or anything like that is always super fun, especially when the movie's great and I get to recommend it. Um, from the start though, I think anytime I recommend a movie and then somebody jumps back in the comments a few days later and says, I watched this on your recommendation and it was great and I loved it, something like that, that sticks with me. Anytime somebody DMs me and is like, hey, I hadn't even heard of this movie until I saw your video and I loved it, that's the best.
Mm-hmm.
The comedy sketches are a lot of fun to write. They are a pain in the ass to make because I'm playing all these characters and recording and editing and everything takes forever.
Yeah.
But when they pop off, then that's very rewarding. People tend to appreciate that, and I like to inject my writing and my humor because that's what I'm most proud of in there. So it's a mixed bag, but I'd say just getting to recommend indie horror and unknown horror movies to people is why I started doing what I'm doing, and that's still what I want to keep consistent with my content.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Do you have Is there a movie that you have reviewed that is your favorite? That was your favorite episode or favorite video that you made?
Oh man, the one that kind of kickstarted any sort of success I saw on TikTok because I had a couple of like mini sketches that did well,
Yeah.
but when I reviewed the Poughkeepsie tapes, for some reason I had no idea the weird lore behind that movie or the like how many people either thought it was the scariest movie ever made or thought it was absolute trash, overhyped nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
So when I reviewed the Poughkeepsie tapes, I thought it was going to do like 1,000 views, like everything else I've done tops, and it blew up and did like hundreds of thousands of views, and it got me a ton of followers from people who were like, "Oh, this guy's talking about horror movies," and so that's when I was like, "Okay, this might be worth sticking around for." So I'd say that's probably the one video that top of mind is did the most for me, and I'm most proud of, I guess, because I must have done a decent job with it if enough people watched it
Yeah,
and shared it.
yeah, for sure. TikTok is definitely weird. The things that you don't think is gonna be successful is the one that goes viral. You're like, I, it doesn't make any sense,
Every
but
time.
you gotta ride that
Yeah.
train. You said you started in 2020. Was horror content the thing that you started first with, or is it something else or that you started with?
I wasn't sure what I wanted to start with. My very first TikTok was me New Year's Eve 2019, tipsy at Universal Studios saying, "This is the year I become an influencer," like as a joke. And I just posted that to TikTok and it did like 5, 6 views or something. It was nothing because I had no followers. And then I didn't post again for months because I was doing social media as my day job and I didn't want to look at a social media app in my free time. So I was looking at Instagram and Twitter and Facebook 40 hours a week, Monday through Friday. I would come home and not want to look at a phone or not want to look at Instagram or anything. And when COVID happened and I was sitting at home and then I got furloughed from my job for a little while, I was like, okay, TikTok is the only app that we don't have a company account for. So it's the only social media app that is like new to me, fresh, and not super annoying and boring.
Yeah.
I'll jump on there. And so I shared a video that had done well for me on Facebook because somebody was like, this would do well on TikTok now. And I was like, let's find out. And so I just posted this stupid sketch I did with a jacket on TikTok, and it blew up there. Blew up by my standards at the time. It was like 50,000 views, and I was like, oh damn, all right, that's kind of fun. And then I started just jumping on trends. So it was like I did a transition where I put on my Casey Jones cosplay because I have a Casey Jones costume from
That's
Ninja
dope.
Turtles, and then I did some silly like Michael Myers stuff because I had a Michael Myers costume. But I couldn't really land on a niche, and then it was when I was scrolling through Tubi and I saw that Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 was on there. And I was like, what? You can watch one of the greatest horror sequels of all time for free right now? I have to tell the people.
Yeah.
And that's when I did that. And I was like, this might be just what I do because this is the only thing that I can talk about incessantly and post regularly about.
Yeah.
But yeah, for that first 6 months to a year, I couldn't really decide on a specific niche. So I was doing all kinds of random stuff.
Yeah, I definitely feel you. Same here. I was just doing that. I'm not gonna lie. I was one of the people that did the TikTok dances, and I'm just like,
Yep.
whatever gets views at that point. Then I realized that horror was my thing. Um, when you are making content, what is, how do you feel when you're making content? What does it do for you?
It's a nice outlet. It's nice just to be able to like for expression, I guess. I love sharing things that I love with people, and when I was obviously in 2020, I was just like stuck in the apartment, and I can only yap to my girlfriend about silly horror stuff for so long before I know I'm driving her crazy.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to come up with a way to do this. And so when I post something, when I started getting feedback from people that were like appreciating my reviews or appreciating the content, started asking for more and requesting more, then it felt nice. Sometimes I can get overwhelmed and I'll catch myself if I'm making content just because I need to get something out today and I don't have much time. Like I'll watch that video back and be like, man, I am not into this. This looks bad. I'll re-record when I'm in a better headspace or in a better mood.
Yeah.
But I try to when I'm making content, I try to do stuff I'm excited about, and that's why I don't still don't have any sort of like schedule
Yeah.
or anything set. Like I know a lot of friends have this type of video goes out every Monday, this type of video goes out every Wednesday, and I've got one of these every other weekend, and I'm just like, oh, this horror movie's great and it's streaming for free and I got nothing else to talk about today. I'll tell people about this, and I knock it out, and for the most part it's still pretty good. But yeah, it being a side hustle is still stressful for me.
Yeah. No. I totally get that when it just I mean, having the expectation, when you have like a good amount of followers, like, man, if I don't post, people are gonna just forget about me, or just like where this, what you're, yeah, it could be a side hustle, but like the expectations could definitely get to you. But that kind
Yeah.
of leads into my next question, like, have you ever had a moment when you had like content block, or just, you know, you weren't getting the views you wanted, and you ever decided you might have hit that wall where you're like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore? Have you ever had that experience, and how did you get out of it if you did have?
I mean, I have a minor version of that experience like once a week, just because I've got imposter syndrome like
Okay.
nobody's business. But there have been times, I think, especially if it's like off season or I haven't, I've got like my day job is a lot going on or something else is happening. There have been, I have an ongoing list in my phone of content ideas. If I think of funny sketches or if I think of movies I want to talk about or I think of like lists I want to put together, but then I'll always get in my head where I'm like, does anybody actually care about this, or is this one just for me?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't want to copy anybody. There's always like that first mentality, and so if a movie comes out and I didn't see it until Sunday, and I already know that all of Horror Talk gave their review over the
Yeah.
weekend, then I'm like, is there even any point to me doing this,
Mm.
and or I'll just glaze over stuff, and I'll see people post videos about a topic that I didn't even think to make a video about, and I'm like, oh, I guess I should have talked about that because this guy got like 100,000 views on it, and I wasn't even thinking. So I'll like overthink and stress myself out about that. I'm like, is this even worth the headache now? But I usually just get past it by my partner Kimmy does a great job of keeping me grounded. Where she'll tell that I'm stressed out, or she'll tell that I'm overthinking stuff, and she'll be like, just check, like, find a movie that you love and talk about that. Like, don't worry about make any of these like screeners that people want you to watch. Don't
Yeah.
worry about covering any of this stuff for your friends. Don't worry about anything in your inbox. Like, just do a dope horror movie streaming for free. I know there's like 100 movies on Tubi right now that you love. What's one that you could talk about? And I was like, that's a great idea. And so I just kind of like disconnect from all the whatever I feel like I need to do now, or whatever's on a time constraint, or whatever's topical, or whatever's important. And I'm just like, do one piece of content for something I love, and then that kind of like refreshes me, and it reminds me why I got started. Because if I don't want to completely quit, like I'm never just gonna say this isn't worth it anymore. But
Yeah.
if I ever do need to take a step back and be like, I'm just gonna post for me now and not focus on the different like partnerships or uh, invites or PR boxes or anything like that, then I want to be able to do that with a clear head, I guess. So yeah, it's the content block happens a lot, but I just do the best way of getting through it is just reaching back and doing a classic, something that the reason I got into it in the first place.
Yeah. Um, I yeah, I totally get that. When it comes to getting ready to make a video, like what is your creative process when it like how do you get started and how and what is the end result when you're ready to post? Like how do you come up with the like influences like or like the ideas of when it comes to a video and like can you break that down in from beginning to end?
For sure, yeah. Usually, no matter what kind of video it is, I write a script now
Okay.
because early on I used to just hit record and ramble, and then I would go back and try to edit as best I could. But it would always be like 8 minutes of footage with so many pauses, or me thinking, or me over speaking and like saying something incorrectly. And then I would edit and get ready to post. And then after it went live, I'd be like, oh, I should have mentioned the director, or oh, I could have mentioned this Easter egg that I wanted to talk about. I can't believe I
Yeah.
forgot that. So I take 5 to 10 minutes at least. If it's like a dope horror movie streaming for free, or a review for a movie I just saw in theaters, then I'll open up a doc and I'll just jot down the script, and I'll read it back a few times, and I'll put that up behind my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I'll record. I used to record with one of my backgrounds here in the apartment, and then TikTok's algorithm changes every 7 to 10 minutes, so you've got to mix it up a bit.
Yeah, I
And I
get that.
started doing the green screen backgrounds, and those do better, I guess. So
Sure.
I'll do those now if I've got a good idea, or I'll mix up and throw my background in there still with like my desk and all my horror merch. But I'll put up my tripod, record, speak into the camera with my mics and everything, and got my ring light and all that, and then I'll usually edit right after. I'm so bad at banking content. I know a lot of friends who will do like 5 to 10 videos a day,
I can't
and
even
then
do
edit
that.
over the next few days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do almost every video I've ever posted. I filmed 5 to 10 minutes before I posted it. Like I'm
Okay.
so last minute. But yeah, I'll record. I'll edit as best I can, trim all the spaces and loop stuff together. If I want to insert clips or anything like that, I'll put those through there, and then try to write out a good caption, and then upload and pray
Yeah.
that that people see it and that it does well.
I got a question for you. So as so you
Mhm.
said you like read scripts and everything like that. So I kind of done my first spoiler review on TikTok for 28 years later, but it might have taken you 5 to 10 minutes to do a whole video or anything like that. But for me, it took me literally the whole day because I struggle with stuttering. So I stutter and I'm very forgetful of my words. So I can read I can read the words on the screen, but for some reason they don't come out the words that is on the screen. So do you have any advice for somebody like me who is interested to do like reviews or horror game reviews and just basically trying to do that storytelling? Like how could I get better at storytelling? That's what I'm trying to ask. If you could give me the best advice.
Yeah, no, I just I mean it's always finding just something that works for you. If you're noticing that it's when you're on camera that is
Yeah.
causing the stuttering to happen more, then maybe switch over to voiceover and just do
Mm.
like clips or images from the movie, and kind of ease yourself into it. I have a couple of friends in the horror talk space that stutter, and they for some reason they just have an easier time doing it when they're filming in their element, or if they've got something pre-prepared,
Mm-hmm.
or they may just edit around it perfectly that I don't even know about. But I just, because I've had that issue where I'll kind of jump around or just completely draw a blank and miss what I'm saying. So that's why I have to have the script up so that I can refer to it, and then I'll re-say stuff
Yeah.
3 or 4 times. So it's if I did a video, like if I did a review, what did I do recently? Um, like I did a review for 28 years later,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like the video I recorded was 10 minutes long. The video I ended up posting was like 1 minute and 5 seconds or something. It was a
Mm.
pretty quick review, but I filmed myself re-saying stuff so many times because I'm like, does it sound better here? Does it sound that? And so if it's, or if I say something and then I catch myself rambling and I was like, I want to cut that part out, but I can't because I said it so quickly after another sentence.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would just repetitiveness, I think, is a good tip. And just find different tweaks or different things you can test or try, and see if that helps, or just keep at it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of funny because this is why my podcasts are live. I decided it'd be so much harder for me to record a conversation and just be like, oh, we gotta stop and start again. But the reason why I love doing this live is just because, if you make a mistake, you keep going, no matter what. And
Yeah,
also, I want to show people like, yes, I might have a stutter, and yes, I forget my words, and yes, reading off a prompt or just questions could be difficult for me. But at the end of the day, I'm still human, and I'm still striving for the things I want to achieve. And it is possible to fight the difficulties you have in certain aspects. Just a little thing that's the why reason I do it live. Just because, like, you could mess up and you could just keep going. Nobody's going to say
yeah.
anything. So I think it's pretty dope. Another question that I had is when it comes to balancing your personal life versus your content creating life, do you feel like you have a good balance, or do you struggle to give more attention to one versus the other?
It's a mixed bag. I do sometimes worry. It happened with, like, last week. I was spending the week with my mom, and I tried to let her know ahead of time. I was like, I'm gonna be busy. I can't get this much time off of work, so I'm gonna be working while I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll also happen when I'm out with Kimmy or something. Is I'll catch myself on my phone for an extended period of time, and I'm like, I'm really sorry. It's not that I'm ignoring you. It's not that I don't like spending this time with you. I just have to reply to these DMs, or I have to reply to these comments, or I have to make sure my video is live and not getting like flagged or a restriction.
Oh,
And there will be times where I'm like, I don't actually have to be doing this right now. Like
yeah,
I uploaded this video to TikTok, and it's live and it's getting likes, and I can just ignore it for the next hour and focus on my family, or focus on my loved ones,
yeah.
or relax and like just watch baseball or something.
Sorry, I
So
contributed
I
to
do need to
your
check
one of
out.
your DMs.
No, you're
I
good. You're good.
apologize. Shout out to your wife. I'm so sorry. Like, I don't mean to do it. I just thought your husband is a great content creator, and I needed to get him on my podcast. So I apologize if you're ever watching this.
No, no, you're good. You're good. What's funny is it's in my head. I'm the kind of person who thinks I need to reply to something immediately, and on the flip side, if I text you and I don't get a text back for like 17 days, I'm still just like, oh, thank you so much for replying. Honestly, it's no big deal. I assumed you were busy. You had other stuff going on,
Yeah,
and I know that that's how other people feel. So if I do need to not reply to somebody for a minute, I know they're going to understand and
yeah,
everything will be fine. So that's where I need to check out. But it's also tough as far as like personal life goes, because I also have a day job that's very stressful. Not super stressful, but I stay busy Monday through Friday, and having to balance that with content creation on like my lunch breaks and nights and weekends, and also spend time with Kimmy and try to do stuff just for me, go to the movies or like watch a game or just hang out and have dinner, is it's a packed schedule for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of led to the next thing I was gonna say is when you're not content creating, what are some of the hobbies you had, like outside of it?
Yeah, well, I do still write. So my day job, I'm a copywriter, so I write a lot of
Mm,
blogs and emails and stuff like that. But that's
nice.
that's not a hobby. That just pays the bills and keeps me insured, which is nice.
I get that.
Um, yeah, and then as far as hobbies, I mean, I capture a lot of what I do and still post about it, but I love traveling.
Sure.
Anytime I can get a long weekend, even if it's just going to visit family in Arizona or Vegas, or if we can make a short trip, like fly out to, we go to Orlando a lot because we've got family that does Walt Disney World, but we'll also do just random trips to like Boston for a horror convention, or we went to Pittsburgh last year and visited the Living Dead Museum at the Monroeville Mall, which was amazing.
Nice.
Um, Anything like that, I like to travel, and then um, yeah, I've got screenplays that I'm working on, and I still try to do. I haven't done comedy as much lately, but I've got friends that book shows here in SoCal, and I do want to get back into stand up because that's always been a passion of mine. That's what I originally moved out here to do. Is I love performing and telling jokes.
Nice. I didn't
Yeah.
even, I mean, we've been talking for 20 minutes. I didn't even ask, like, what got you into horror? Like,
Oh
what kind of
man,
horror podcast is this? Is that I don't even ask that question. But no, seriously, like,
ridiculous. Yeah,
I know
everyone at
terrible.
home just throwing stuff at their screen right now.
They're like they're leaving and coming in, like everybody's attention span is very quick. So I like it's a
Yeah.
horror podcast, and we're not even talking about horror. But that's part of
Right.
Whispers. We talk about the individual, like with the things they like, what they love, and how their process is. But what got you into horror?
I originally got into horror from my parents when I was a kid. My mom's always been a big horror fan. My dad was never like a big diehard horror fan, but he did like my dad showed me stuff like Tremors, and
Mm.
that stuck with me as a kid. I love that movie. My
Mm-hmm.
mom showed me stuff like The Thing and Halloween. Maybe a little
Damn.
too young, but I think I turned out okay. And
Yeah, I think
then
so.
one memory that I have that I've shared this 100 times. So if you've ever seen me on a podcast, I probably already told this story before. But it's we went to the video store, and I remember sitting in the back seat while my dad ran in to rent movies, and I was like, "Get me a horror movie," and my dad rented me Pumpkinhead because that was my nickname at home, is they just call me Pumpkinhead. And he saw that and was like, "That's cute. I'll get that for Josh." And I don't think he bothered to like read the synopsis or check the rating or anything. He was like, "Cool, this like weird looking monster, and it's called Pumpkinhead. He'll love this." And I do love that movie. It's amazing. But I just remember
Yeah.
when he came out and said that he had picked that up, I was like, "No, you didn't. That's not a real movie." And he showed me the case, and I was like, "Oh man, what is this? It's so weird."
Yeah.
And then obviously Stan Winston's iconic creature just seared into my brain from a very young age.
Yeah, that'll
But
do
yeah,
it.
it's just weird stuff like that. My cousin, when we were in Colorado visiting family, my cousin had to beg and plead for me to be okay with him renting Return of the Living Dead 3
Mm.
because he really wanted to see that. And I was like, I don't want to rent. I was like, I've never even seen the first two. And he's like, you don't need to. These movies are crazy. None of them are related. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll do that to make you happy. And I just remember that movie having a huge impact on me because the zombies and the gore in that one is just nuts. And so now that one's like a comfort film for me. So it's
Yeah.
just different moments throughout my childhood. And then when I was 8, 9, 10, that's when I was reading a lot, and Goosebumps was
I
my
was
favorite
waiting
book.
for it. Every,
Yeah,
every
so
horror
yeah,
person loves Goosebumps or
it was
Stephen
crazy. It
King.
was
It's crazy.
Well, it's because when you're reading at that age, your parents are thrilled. They are just happy that you're picking up a book. And so my
Facts.
mom was like, I don't care what you're reading. The fact that you're reading is exciting. And so she would take me to go get the new Goosebumps book every time it dropped, and I had the whole collection, and I was chewing through those. And then when I was watching TV every weekend, it was like Are You Afraid of the Dark? It was the Goosebumps TV show. It was Erie,
Yeah.
Indiana. And then as I got a little older, it was Tales from the Crypt on Fox, the edited version, not the
Yeah.
HBO one. But
Hmm.
yeah, I was always into spooky stuff, and I think it was mostly my parents' influence, but also just being a weird spooky kid. Halloween was always my favorite
Yeah.
holiday, like just
Yeah.
kind of how I came to be.
for sure. For me, it's the Twilight Zone kind of was like my spooky thing, and
Nice.
I can remember like I would always wake up around 5 or 6 o'clock. They always played it early, so I would watch just the creepiest things to start off my day, and I was just like, oh my god. But like the movie that got me into horror was Saw.
Oh wow.
And I was not, oh my god, I might have been 9 or 10, and I was at my grandma's house, and I couldn't sleep, and I was like, I'm about to watch any movies, and I saw it pop up, and I was like, you know what, I'll give it a try. Worst mistake of my life, because I could not sleep. Um, and it was just funny enough, like 4 o'clock in the morning, I hear the door open, and my dad walks in, and I couldn't see the person and just the outline, and I'm not gonna lie, I screamed at the top of my lungs and woke like six people, six, 7 people up, and from that moment I was hooked because it's just like the adrenaline and just the things that that movie like did to my soul. Like I honestly think is pure what horror should be,
Oh yeah.
regardless of anything. But I love one of my favorite questions to ask my guest is, what is your own definition of the word horror? Like, what does horror mean to you? Not using any other influences but your own.
Ooh. So I feel like it's gonna be hard to like put into words. This is why I write a script, and when
Hmm.
it's live, it's tricky, so I
Oh yeah,
can't plan exactly
this
what
is
I'm
the
gonna
pressure.
say.
This is just what I like.
This is what I
It's
do, yeah.
spontaneous. You
Nah,
can't think
I
about it too
admire
much.
that.
Welcome to
um,
Whispers.
yeah. So I think horror. I think a lot of people get hung up on horror and scary, and to me, I feel like scary is an adjective and horror is a genre. So a
Hmm.
horror movie doesn't necessarily have to be scary, but it does have to have elements of things that scare you or would scare you in the situation. Like the example I like to give is like Hocus Pocus is a horror movie. It
Hmm.
is not a scary movie by the audience standards, but if you were one of the characters in Hocus Pocus, if you were one of those kids who is in fear of their life and being chased by a zombie, you'd be terrified. So that to me is still a horror movie. A lot of people are like,
Yeah,
no, that one's not a horror
I
movie. I'm
get
like, no,
that.
it absolutely is. You got witches, you got zombies, there are just certain elements that make it a horror movie. And I think it's when it dives into the unknown or the occult or just mysteries, things beyond our comprehension that call into question like science and faith and anything like that. I feel like that is dipping into horror, and then obviously the more extreme it goes, the crazier it can be. But that's I think that's the best I'm gonna come up with right now for my definition for horror.
No, that's amazing. It's so funny because like I've asked this question 56 times, and everybody answered at some point hits what my ideology of it is, but then they have their own version of it. So for me, it kind like you kind of touched upon it. It's the fear of the unknown. It's when we are put in a situation or an environment that triggers our primitive instincts, as in fight or flight. So anything that can make our eyes dilate, our heart rate goes faster, the palms get sweaty. We're just all the things subconsciously that causes that. That is what pure. I'm even getting goosebumps talking about it. I don't know why. Maybe I should stop. I don't know what it is, but it's just like
Yeah,
that is what pure horror is. And the movie Saw did it perfectly. It gave you
oh
that
yeah,
moment where you felt like you had to decide: am I gonna fight to survive these traps to make it another day, or am I gonna succumb to the tragic, the stuff that I'm dealing with, and just try to fight and just deal with it. So like I appreciate that movie so much because like I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that, and I might be scarred in other ways that I'm not gonna go into, but but yeah, it's just that's one of my favorite questions because everybody's perspective is just so different, and but it's all the same in just different ways.
yeah, definitely.
Um, do you have any fears? S-
Do I have any fears?
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't have like I don't think I have any of the typical fears like snakes or spiders or anything unless it's just unexpected. Like if a spider were to fall on me in the middle of the night while I'm trying to sleep, that
Hmm.
would spook me. But I can see one in my apartment and not be like completely thrown off by it. I can go to the zoo and I don't get uh, I don't skip any sections or anything like that. I don't necessarily have a fear of heights, but I used to have no problem with heights. I used to love heights. Like if I
Mm-hmm.
was up on a cliff or on a bridge, I could look over the edge and the dizzying weird sensation was fun for me. Now, for
Okay.
some reason, I get like instant vertigo and I hate it. And I'm like, it
Mm,
sucks that this happened because I used to enjoy this and now I can't like
yeah.
cross certain bridges without fear. Um, I think my biggest fear though is probably like claustrophobia
Okay.
or getting trapped in like a confined space just because I've read the stories of like guys like the guy that went spelunking and got trapped in a tunnel upside down
Oh yeah, the
or
cave. The cave. The,
yeah
those people are
or
crazy. I can't do it.
yeah or anytime in a movie somebody has to like go underwater and swim under something and just hope that they're able to come out the other end and come above water and breathe again. Like anytime that happens, I get all tensed up. So like,
Mm.
yeah, confined spaces or like drowning and stuff. That's those things in movies actually cause that gets my heart racing and my palms sweating and stuff like that for sure.
Did you see that video? Maybe not, but have you seen that video where the guy is like on that boat and there's like guests and they're going under the thing and the water just raises up just enough where they could just get under. It's like a underworld like under passage like there's all these rocks and everything or like a structure and basically the only way they can get through under it is like pulling a rope and it, depending on how the tide is they can easily pass through it or they get stuck and I freak out my because my fear is thalassophobia. I'm scared of the open water and like I
Yeah,
don't like tight spaces. It's not my biggest fear, but I feel what you're saying and I feel like if we're
yeah,
both on that boat we're suffering. And so
yeah.
hopefully
No,
we'll never
that
do
sounds like a
that.
nightmare.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna say, have you seen the movie Fall?
Not yet.
Oh,
I want to though. I've heard it's great, and I think that's the other thing is it's so funny to me whenever I do a review and people are like, "Does it have this in it?" Because I can't watch that, or
mm,
"Does it focus on this?" Because I can't really do that, and I'm like, I can't do those things, and
yeah.
that's why I love those movies. That's why I love when a horror movie touches on something that genuinely gets a rise out of me. So I'm like, if Heights does this to me now, then Fall I know is gonna like I want a horror movie that's gonna make me watch through my fingers and make me like
I had internet
rethink
vertigo the next
everything.
day. I
Yeah.
swear I saw it in theaters. The biggest mistake. I literally woke up the next day, tried to get out of my bed, and my body just did not respond the
Oh
way I
man.
wanted to. I tried to put one leg, one foot after the other, and it just did not work. I hit the wall, and I'm like, "Yep, I'm gonna lay in the bed for the next 2 3 hours." That has never happened to me. Um, has there ever been a movie? Since we're talking about like
Mhm.
impacts that movie can have on a person, has there ever been a movie that has hit you emotionally that you're like, I can't believe I'm having this emotion? Like it could be pure fear, it could be like complete sadness. Like, is there any horror movie that has done the most to you psychologically or emotionally? If you see Bring Her
Oh
Back, I swear
man.
to God,
Oh yeah.
that one was
Bring
rough.
her Bring Her Back was wild. Bring Her Back hit me more just in my because I love body horror, but there are certain elements of body horror where like teeth damage and fingernail damage always get to me, and so
Yeah.
those moments in Bring Her Back, I was like, oh man, and that's why I loved it. I would say as far as like just emotionally devastating movies, somebody recently posted they were gonna watch Train to Busan for the first time, and
Mm,
I was like, oh girl, strap in. Like,
that
I
was a
hope you're
wild
ready
part.
because this is not just a zombies on a train movie that a lot of people think it is. Like, this movie is rough. I love that movie so much, but I've been putting off watching it just because of um, how hard that ending hits. And
Yeah.
then, um, as far as like fear goes, I haven't rewatched Terrified, not Terrifier, the
Terrified.
Argentinian movie
I know what you're
Terrified.
talking
It's from the
about. Yeah,
same
yeah.
guy who did When Evil Lurks. And I loved When Evil Lurks, but that one's more of just like gross
Shock
out
value. The shock.
shock, like
The
real
dog, man.
twisted, messed up stuff. Yeah. Whereas Terrified just had some really well executed jump scares and some really like bleak stuff. And I just remember that movie creeped the hell out of me. And because my buddy recommended it, and so I watched it alone one night. And I was like, well, gotta go for full effect. So I put the movie on the big screen. I turned all
You're
the lights
bugging.
off, and I was sitting there alone. I was like, this is a mistake. This is a mistake. So yeah, that one stuck with me. I got to rewatch it and see if it's as scary as I remember. But the fact that I keep putting it off tells me it probably is.
I feel like you would be a fun person to go see a horror movie with. So I hope if we ever get to meet in person, I hope it's one of those like either a new movie or a movie that's been out like or for a while. I think it'd be a fun experience just to see like what your expressions are with during these like scary movies.
I hope
Um,
so. Yeah, I hope I'm not a super annoying person in the theater.
no,
I try to
no.
be peaceful, but I also I do love having a reaction for sure.
I feel like that's what makes it so much more enjoyable when you're like in a theater and you hear somebody scream. You're like, it might have not gotten me, but like f- that person is at their
Oh
peak,
yeah.
bodily, emotionally, physically, and emotionally. Just like that moment scared them to death that they had to scream out loud. Subconscious thing, like I told you, pure fear. But
Yeah.
if you could name a horror movie that could best describe you, your personality, or just describe you, what horror movie would you say that is?
Oh man, that is a
I
good
know,
one.
great questions. And I promise you, I'm gonna tell you something while you think about it. I have a whole list of questions. I do my research, but I
Mhm.
feel like I want to be the like I read the first question that I have over here, but then I feel like I want this to be as authentic as possible. So it takes a little to get more comfortable, and then I feel like the longer it goes, the better it gets. I write down my questions when I think about them, like on this paper right here. I don't know if you can see it. It
Yeah.
literally I just feel like it's just a more authentic thing. It's just like I don't want to be like a robot. I just want to feel like when I have that question, I just want to ask you right then and there. So this is all off the script. We're going off script.
Nice.
But
Hell
I've
yeah,
done
I
this for
appreciate that.
56 episodes, and I just feel like like I feel like my guests deserve that. Like if I'm an interviewer, I want to listen to what you're saying and then ask you questions about that. So
Yeah,
so just a little tidbit. But yeah,
for
I don't
sure.
remember
Yeah.
the question,
No,
but
you said so. I think I've got it because you're saying what's a horror movie that describes
describes.
me as a
There it
person,
is.
kind of.
There you go.
Um, I usually jump straight to body horror and stuff because I love like The Blob. But I think
hmm
as far as my personality goes, I was jumping between Idle Hands and Cabin in the Woods because I'm a horror comedy guy too. But I don't smoke, so I'm not the stoner comedy Idle Hands. Even though
Okay.
I share a lot of the same humor there, so I'll go Cabin in the Woods just because I love the mix and the unique storytelling there.
Okay.
And it literally like when I left the theater, I was like, man, that movie feels like it was made specifically for me. Where it was like, we're gonna make the kind of movie Josh loves, but we're gonna dissect it in a way that he wouldn't think to do, which is something I love doing when I watch a movie,
Uh-huh.
is just kind of breaking it down and looking for these deeper meanings and messages. I the secondary plot of the like the businessman and everything is
hmm
so funny and just so enjoyable to me. So the mix mash of like it's a creature feature, it's a cabin in the woods like movie, it's got some slasher elements, but it's still funny and it's still smart and I something that you just see every I just wish that movie described me, I guess. I wish I was as cool as Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, no, honestly, I thought Cabin in the Woods was an incredible film because it was just like you never know what to expect. It just threw so
Mhm.
much at you, but it all made sense, and it's just like, here's this, here this, like, and it kind of reminds me of like, I don't know what, it's like that type of movie that you have to watch a couple times and to see like the things you miss and everything like that. Because like I saw like a content creator say that there is pieces, they have the characters from Left 4 Dead in there, like the boomer, the screamer. I don't know if you know the game, but a popular zombie game. They actually took the characters and put them. You know how the person was towards the end, and they had all the monsters in the thing. They actually put those characters in the game, from the game into the movie, and I appreciate that because not only did they just not stick to the monsters that are from horror movies, they went into another realm into games and to see if people would pay attention to see that. I gotta give credit to that. Another movie I think is that kind of like that. I don't know if you ever seen *Malignant*.
Yeah, actually, I just did my friend's podcast last week and we talked about *Malignant* because
One
it's
of
so
the
good.
It's so good. I watched it I'm not gonna lie to you, 5 times, and I still feel like I'm missing something. It's just all over the place, and I love movies like that. Just it's just you like from one minute you're seeing horror and shock body horror, the next minute there you see kung fu with like a knife
Oh
in
yeah.
the police station. You gotta show love to movies like that, and that's horror. I feel like is a genre that could be hitting. It fits in every single genre. Do you agree or disagree on that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because you've got because there's horror comedy, and then there's all the different subgenres of like slasher and body horror. There's the suspense thrillers. You can make a PG horror movie that still has some really creepy elements in it. And then you can get the really extreme stuff if you want to like dig into that iceberg. But
Yeah.
there's obviously all like the people like to call it elevated horror, which I think it kind of uh, cheapens what other horror is. So I don't like that term as much. But there is the more like dramatic, like character driven, story driven horror that people think is that comes with it, the more, I guess, drama centered. And then there's
Yeah.
action horror, like a Jurassic Park. I would consider an action horror film because
Mm.
those raptor sequences and that T Rex tearing apart the car, that's scary. That's horrifying.
You
But
don't think it's more like a
everyone,
survival? Cause like they're
it
in the
is,
woods.
yeah, no, it's definitely like a, but
But the action,
survival
I get
horror is a
that.
thing too, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
I just think the first Jurassic Park. I think after that, it kind of similar to Terminator, like the first Terminator
Mm.
movie.
Yeah.
James Cameron said was inspired by slasher films, and when you watch through that lens, you're like, yeah, this totally feels like a slasher movie.
And then
And
it
then they went
veered.
more sci-fi action, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Jurassic Park kind of did the same thing. But that first Jurassic Park movie, you remember like the clever girl moment and the raptors in the kitchen, and like
Yeah.
we've all seen it 100 times now because it's such a classic. But seeing that in the theater for the first time, I was like terrified.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. And it just sucks because I saw Rebirth. That's the new one, right? Jurassic
Yeah.
Rebirth. And I felt like they tried to do what the first one
Hmm.
did, but they failed. Just because the biggest, they had that cool, I thought that dinosaur was, have you seen it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
No,
okay, cool, cool.
you're
I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but like
good. No,
even in the first couple minutes, like you see is just like that big mutated dinosaur, and I just felt like it
yeah.
just didn't get enough screen time, and it's just like this is what brings horror into this aspect, and you're like kind of not doing that. I don't know about
No,
that.
I agree. That creature at the beginning looked gnarly, and then they saved him
It had like
for
10 minutes of screen time.
yeah, a big moment at the end that didn't even really have much of a payoff. So
Yeah,
it's a shame. I enjoyed Rebirth enough, but it does feel like they're just trying to go back to what made the franchise great. And it's like
hmm,
you'll never be able to capture the magic of the original Jurassic Park. Like that movie is just it's like one of one.
one of one.
So try something new, try veering, try a different direction. And this one felt like they were kind of playing it safe, where they're like, let's just remake the first movie and add these extra elements into it and see if that works. And it was still entertaining for me. I still
Yeah.
enjoyed it, but yeah, it's everything feels like just a kind of a half-assed attempt to recreate the first movie, which is
Yeah,
impossible.
and if you slap Jurassic Park on any Jurassic, like it's gonna make money. So like,
Yeah,
I get
exactly.
it. I have a fun question. So
Okay.
if you could revitalize a monster slasher or anything like it could be a vampire, zombie, anything in that aspect, how would you revitalize a creature or something scary in a horror movie? Like I thought, like Sinners, I thought they kind of had a new spin to vampires. I think they revitalized it. That's my opinion, though.
Yeah. No, Sinner's amazing. I would say that's a tough call because I'm really curious to see what Lee Cronin does with The Mummy.
Okay.
I think I love vampires. I think Sinners was one of the best movies of the year, one of the best movies in a long, long time.
Okay.
And we've had kind of a vampire resurgence lately with like Renfield, Abigail,
Yeah.
and all these other vampire movies lately. And I wonder if other monsters we've got. I think Maggie Gyllenhaal's doing The Bride of Frankenstein,
Yeah.
and then Guillermo del Toro's giving us Frankenstein. So maybe those creatures will have their time in the sun now. And then, but yeah, Lee Cronin, who did Evil Dead Rises, doing his version of The Mummy, and I'm really curious to see what take he does there because I think the action adventure version with Tom Cruise didn't play as well as the
Yeah.
action comedy with Brendan Fraser, obviously. But for me, I don't know. I really want to see what James Wan does with Creature. I always
Mm.
thought Creature from the Black Lagoon was an iconic film. I had an idea that I kind of written, um, where it's kind of turns into a body horror movie, and I want to know like the origins of the creature, why the creature is a singular being. Like, are there more of them in this untouched section of Earth, or is there a reason why the creature looks like that, walks like that, and seems to be the only one of his kind? Like, what's the backstory there? That's kind of where I would want to dive in.
Okay,
Pun intended.
interesting. um, if you is there a movie that you have watched that nobody knows about, but you highly recommend people see that they would maybe potentially love?
Ah, man,
I'll go.
I don't
I
know
could
if
go.
I've
I could
seen
go first.
anything.
I got one.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Drag Me to Hell. I thought that was
Okay.
phenomenal. I don't know why. I just maybe it's just shock. Maybe I like shock horror movies. I don't know. I thought Drag Me to Hell was something that was underrated. And to to I think to realize, because I think the actress said that they used real bugs and worms to spit the things in her mouth, and I said, "Yo, I loved it. I loved every moment from that movie, from the beginning to the end, and I would watch it and still get scared." I thought that movie is underrated, and
Oh
not
yeah.
a lot of people know about it.
I think yeah, I think Drag Me to Hell's a big winner. Mainly I love Drag Me to Hell because so many people who saw it did not know what to expect from a Sam Raimi movie. I feel like
Mm,
they weren't familiar with the Evil Dead franchise, so they
love
went
that.
in thinking it was going to be like a Conjuring or Insidious style curse movie, and I'm like, no, you're going to get some weird slapstick
And a lot
stuff
of
like
like
blood
blood.
fountains. Yeah, like this is Sam Raimi. It's going to be nuts.
Yeah.
I would say for me, the one of the most underrated or lesser known movies that I will never stop recommending to people is Intruder from 1989.
Mm,
It's a slasher movie that takes place in a grocery store, and it's like this overnight group of people working the overnight shift at a grocery store, stocking shelves and taking inventory and everything, start getting picked off one by one, by an unknown assailant. So it's like a who done it where you have to figure out who's responsible by the
mm-hmm,
end. And Sam Raimi stars in it. He doesn't direct it, but you can tell he definitely had some influence because there's so many weird, unique shots
mm-hmm.
in the movie. Like they film through a bottle of whiskey and they film from inside a rotary phone, and they've got all these strange angles and shots, and then there's so much humor in it that I think people forget because it's also known for having some really brutal, bloody, like practical effects kills. But then there's like just a bunch of puns on grocery stores and
Mm-hmm.
like discount signs and stuff like that, and little hidden jokes throughout the movie, and it's just a lot of fun. I think most people see the cover art and they see Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, and they're like, "Oh, okay, it's like an Evil Dead movie." But Bruce Campbell's in it for maybe 10
Two,
seconds
10
and you don't
seconds.
even
Yeah.
realize it's him because he's just got like it's his first role like uncredited at the very
Yeah.
end or something for a moment. But of course now they put his name on the cover to get everyone's attention. But it's that one's a super fun movie that I'll never stop telling people about.
You mentioned Evil Dead with Sam Raimi, and honestly, Evil Dead is probably my favorite franchise of probably of all time. Just because, like,
Mhm.
when I was in college, I wrote I did a PowerPoint of the Evil Dead, Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi, just talking about how that movie. I don't remember what the don't quote me. It was like 12 years ago, but just
Yeah.
how that movie kept me up where I had to hold my little Shih Tzu so tight. I was just because I've never seen a movie with the angles, the thing in the woods going after
Oh
the
yeah.
people, and just like how creepy and just psychologically how messed up it made me. Like that was the second movie that made me stay up all night, and it's just like it's just so awesome how people have this creative juice to make people feel what they're trying to portray on the screen. and I think it's awesome. And so, like, if I could ever have a prop from any movie, it would have to be the Necronomicon. I have to do it. Like,
Oh
I
yeah.
need it. So, is there any prop that you would want in any horror movie that you can choose?
Oh man. I feel like I would have to have, if I could get one of those, like the OG Good Guys dolls from Child's Play, because Chucky is
Mm,
my guy. I love the Chucky franchise. So if I could get one of those, or like the voodoo knife that he uses in the first movie, if I could get that prop, I'd probably be pretty stoked and have that mounted somewhere in my home. That's similar to, I think I love the Evil Dead franchise as much as you, because it's such a cool, um, diverse franchise where it starts as this horrifying, like cabin in the woods movie that really just like revolutionized the genre altogether, and then immediately takes a turn into slapstick horror comedy where Evil Dead 2 is essentially just a reboot.
yeah,
And then Army of Darkness, a completely different film that if you put it side by side with the first Evil Dead, you're
you're
like,
like,
there's no
what?
way these are related in the same
Yeah,
timeline. And then you get the Ash versus Evil Dead show now, which is was so good.
yeah,
The remake, the Evil Dead Rise, like it's such a strong franchise, and it's kind of a bummer now when franchises try to do those tonal shifts. Like Child's Play did it too, where it
yeah,
went to Bride of Chucky and became more of a comedy, and then it did its TV series. It was also a horror comedy.
yeah.
But nowadays, if a movie makes a tonal shift like that, audiences just reject it so quickly, where they're like, "No, just give us more of the same." And it's like, "Nah,
Let
let
them
them
let
get weird with it. Let them take risks."
absolutely,
Like,
absolutely.
yeah.
And I think they did that franchise well. And I think the remake was top notch. I thought it was just something
Oh yeah.
like body horror. But I wanted to ask you, and then we are almost running out of time. But
All
can you
good.
give me your top five body? Because you brought up body horror multiple times, so I'm kind of a little
I did. Yeah, it's
concerned.
my favorite. It's my favorite.
Which I respect because there's a horror game which I don't know if you're into horror games that's called Ill. That if you like body horror, they just look it up.
I'm
This
gonna
is
do
the
that.
most body horror I've ever seen in any horror game, and it's so realistic where you're seeing femurs getting blown off and and it mutates into
Man.
multiple. It's like the thing on crack. I'm not gonna lie to you. Just look it up. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. It's called L. But what is your top five body horror movies of all time?
Oh man. I would say
I'm
in
gonna
no
write it down.
particular
No
order.
particular order. Ready?
The Thing for sure is up there. Thing I saw early on, and I didn't even realize I was into body horror until I heard somebody explain it, and then I was like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's my shit." So it's that. The Blob
Mm-hmm.
is a movie that I watched really young that really messed me up, and then I rewatched it a few years ago and was like, "Oh no, this is one of my favorite movies ever,"
Mm-hmm.
and that's like a comfort film for me now. Um, Most recently, I would say The Substance, probably one of my favorite body horror movies now. Not as much body horror as some other stuff that I've seen, but the plot was just really compelling, and the effects and everything when we got it was super fun. And then also recently, The Ugly Stepsister
I've
on
never seen that one yet.
Shudder.
Okay.
That's is it? I think it's like Swedish.
Okay.
I feel like I should know this. It's a foreign film, but it's a retelling of Cinderella from the perspective of one
The
of the
sister.
stepsisters,
Gotcha.
who is too ugly for the prince, so they make her go through these brutal like body modifications to try to make herself look prettier for the
Mm.
prince so she can steal him from Cinderella. So it's based loosely on the Grimm fairy tale version, where instead of just like trying these quaint Disney things, they do like some really gnarly stuff to try to get her nose working and lose weight. And it's yeah, it's got some really
Uh,
gross stuff in it,
I'm
but
gonna check that one out for sure.
it's really well made. And then I got one more. Oh, I should probably say, I was gonna say Clown, about the guy who transforms into a clown, because I'd say that's body horror and it's super
Mhm.
fun. But I gotta say The Void, because that's the shirt I'm wearing, and I have
Nice.
like five shirts for The Void because that's another one of my favorites. That's from Kostansky. He did Psycho Gorman
Hmm.
and a couple other really great movies, but The Void is just clearly inspired by The Thing. Um, Completely bonkers, like cosmic horror in the final act, and I think no matter how many times you watch it, you still not completely sure you know what's going on, but the practical effects and people's what's happening to people's bodies in that movie is just unreal. And I feel like that's I always admire when someone's making a super low budget flick and you can tell they know what they want to focus their attention and their budget on, where it's like, yeah, we may not get this right on the first take, the lighting may not be perfect, but I want to make sure that when this dude's body turns inside out that we make it look as like disgusting as possible. And I'm like, all right, I respect it. So yeah, definitely The Void.
I'm surprised that you didn't say Terrifier.
Oh man, I
Uh,
I
uh,
don't know if I would consider Terrifier
a body horror,
body
really?
horror.
Oh,
I mean, I
what,
think it's slasher first, but it definitely, I mean, yeah, what it does to
bro?
bodies,
You
I would say
pinned the
absolutely
girl up
qualifies for sure. Yeah.
in half, and just the bed scene. Like, how's that? What do you mean? That's not home. Like, I get it, it's slasher, but like, I felt like more body horror than made. Like, yeah, he's a slasher,
Oh
but he's
yeah.
gonna do some terrible shit to people.
I think I was trying to do all-encompassing qualifiers there. I love the Terrifier movies. I
Yeah,
wasn't crazy about the first one the first time I saw it
yeah,
because
me
I was
either.
like, this is some crazy good gore,
Yeah,
but the story just felt kind of one note for me. And then I watched Terrifier 2 and I was like, oh, okay, this movie rules.
I thought
And
that
then
was
I
great.
kind of stacked them and I was like, now it all makes sense. And then when we saw Terrifier 3, I was like, okay, this is growing on me now for sure. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll give you that.
Okay.
Especially what he does to Santa in the third one. That's got some severe body horror too.
Facts. I was.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't remember the name of it, but have you? There was a plastic surgery. Maybe you know it. It was like a plastic surgery horror movie, where they
Hmm.
would like. They would. It's kind of they would modify and like, and I considered body horror, but it's the name is escaping me. But I thought that movie was body horror esque, and like, this might not be for some people, but Human Centipede, I thought was just.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I was just surprised
Human
that you didn't
Centipede's
say.
gnarly.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a tough call. You told me I could
I
only pick
listen.
five. I had to pick five off the top of my
Spontaneous.
head.
No, I'm just. This is why I
These
love
are
doing this
good.
live. Those are
No,
good.
yeah. Human Centipede's gnarly. There's a couple plastic surgery ones. The one I'm thinking of is
It's gonna kill me.
American Mary,
Oh, maybe it was. Maybe it was
um,
that.
where she gets a job like on the black market or whatever, like doing underground
I
plastic
think
surgery
that
for
was it.
people.
I think it was.
Yeah, that one's nuts and
What was
also
it called?
pretty
Mary.
gross. American Mary.
American. I think that was the name of it because like, it was like something with change like changing bodies, like just modifications to make them beautiful and or like plastic surgery kind of ask. But as soon as you said the name, I think that was the movie for sure. I'm gonna
Yeah.
rewatch it because how gnarly it was. But
Yeah.
but I got like two more questions for you, and I'm gonna let you go.
Okay.
I just want to say thank you so much. This conversation was truly amazing. I would love to do more content with you if you're down in the future.
For
Um,
sure.
where do you see yourself in 5 years when it comes to your content creating, and where would you and what are some of the goals you would like to achieve?
Oh man, my goal here was to touch base with other horror filmmakers and get back into interviewing and stuff because I did a little bit of that before I joined social when I was with Universal. I did some interviewing and that was where I kind of realized my passion for that.
Hmm.
Um, but I think I'm still having a hard time deciding what path I really want to take because I am a writer as well. So I do want to keep writing. I've got
Yeah.
screenplays I want to pitch. But yeah, if I could like host my own talk show slash game show or whatever on like Shutter or Screenbox or something, that would be me living my best life. That
Nice.
would be
Can I be a
the
guest?
goal
Can I be
there.
a contestant?
Of course, yeah,
Let's
no,
go.
definitely. That's
That's
what
it.
I would want to bring all my friends on. But
I'm your friend.
yeah, I'd
Hey,
say
listen, I made 56 friends. That's what's up. I appreciate it. I made a new friend,
hell yeah.
Jack.
But yeah, that would be the dream in 5 years is if I'm negotiating some sort of full-time horror gig where I get to either talk to people or visit spooky places or do any sort of coverage within the horror space and
Mhm.
actually get like paid well for it. That would
Yeah,
be the goal for sure.
absolutely. Uh, second to last question. If I were to meet you in person and be like, "Oh my God, it's Josh! I love your content. I'm an up and coming content creator. What is the best advice would you be able to give me for a person who's just starting off?
Um, just talk about what you love.
Hmm.
Talk about stuff that you want to talk about. Don't force it, and uh, just learn how. Don't overthink stuff, and figure out uh, proper editing techniques. I feel like that's the one thing I see a lot of people kind of uh, mis not misinterpret or just like get wrong. But you see people talk about like the millennial pause, where they'll start a video and then not say anything for a second, and it's I see a lot of people who want to do content and want to talk about stuff, but their video, the first 10 seconds of their video is them like setting up the camera, not really saying anything, and then they're bad at getting that first like attention grabbing
Moment.
piece.
Yeah.
So finding that, and it took me a while to figure that out too. But if you do want to be a content creator and you do want to find an audience and you do want to get those views, that first half second is so crucial. So make sure you're using the best camera you've got on your phone, and make sure you're editing so that you grab them early on. Put some text on the screen if you need to, something that they can read,
Hmm.
and just talk about stuff you love, because it's people can tell if you're just posting stuff that you think people want to see as opposed to posting stuff that you want to post. Like I was doing those trends, I was doing the dances, I was doing the transitions, thinking
Yeah.
this is what's hot right now, this is what's working. And as soon as I was like, you know what, this isn't even fun for me. I just want to tell people to fucking watch this horror movie that I love. Like I'm just going to talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Or I'm just going
Yeah.
to talk about Chucky or something. That's when people started realizing what I was doing. People started noticing my videos. So it was me writing stuff that meant something to me. So if that's what you want to do, then yeah, figure out what your niche is, even if it's 4 or 5 different niches that all overlap. Like you don't don't get pigeonholed or anything, and just keep at it.
Yeah, no, beautifully said, beautifully said. And the final thing is there anything that you would want to tell our listeners that are listening right now, or in the future? Is there anything you want to say to end off the show? The floor is basically yours.
Man,
No pressure.
I um, be kind. Uh, care about other people. Think about what you're saying, what you're doing, and try to put yourself in anyone else's shoes. It isn't so much just like on social. You see so many comments from people who don't have a profile picture, don't have their real name on there, don't have any uh, like are not willing to show their own face, and they will say some of the most hateful stuff. So you got
Yeah.
to shake that off, but also don't let yourself get bogged down by that. Don't one of Kimmy's favorite quotes is comparison is the thief of joy. So don't look at what other creators are doing and start comparing yourself to them. Don't let bitterness or jealousy or anything kind of tear you down, because that's just going to cause more problems down the road, and it's never going to make you feel any better if you focusing on that. So just focus on what makes you happy, focus on the things you love, and remember that we're all in this together, and just support each other. And what's the other quote? A rising tide lifts all boats.
Hmm.
That's I think that's one of the best things about horror talk is we all love each other, we all share each other's content, we all give each other tips, and
Yeah.
when you do finally meet in person, it's like magical getting to actually like hug and hang out with these other people. So
Yeah, it feels
yeah,
like you guys known each other for years. Like it's awesome when you get
exactly,
to take a
yeah,
chance to do that for sure.
it's nuts.
But Josh, thank you so much again. Have been an incredible guest on Whispers of Horror, and like I said, I would love to do more content with you in the future. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of episode 56 of Whispers of Horror. Make sure you go follow Josh. All of his platforms will be in the description of the video, a live stream. And with that, I just want to say thank you so much for listening. And remember, even a whisper